Morning, Peter.
Good morning, folks.
I'm not sure if you saw a message from Thomas, who said that he was willing to abandon the figure that was willing to abandon this issue. And I just said, well, you know what? Maybe I can make a suggestion to him. And that's what you reviewed, I think, and you weren't sure we put it in the right place either. And Hank or someone else said that we wasn't sure. Participants. So we have only 4. Okay. But I thought we had 5 a moment ago. Hank was here and then he disconnected. Hoping we'll have Thomas. Essentially, as far as I know, this is really the only issue that we have to close, potentially also this one. Hank, you're back. Didn't work last
week. It was weirdly broken, my WebEx, but I just killed it and now it's living.
I didn't hear it all from Wei last week, but he was connected. Is he really there? Or is it a...
the Waybot? No, I don't think so. I think it's just he has to be it's late, so maybe it's
he has to be quiet. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to type, doesn't want to talk for fear of waking up his children. There you go. He says hi. Okay, all right, that's good enough. I just I'm gonna make sure he's not a
bot.
Bot. Yeah, that's right.
I think bots can say hi.
That's right, exactly.
See, I see. This is context specific. This is good.
But it's knowing exactly when to say hi. Yeah, that's how you pass the Turing test, right?
That's right, exactly. So,
there's something,
my family is sleeping too, so.
So the real issue is are there people that fail the Turing tests? Thomas, it's been a while since we've seen you. Hoping for the other Thomas today as well.
Hey, I'm back from the dead.
Okay.
So the moral is do not get a booster immediately after you get a shingles shot.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I would say that's probably wise. Yeah, that's probably really wise to do that.
This is when I was not being wise.
Okay. It's funny, Thomas, because I know there's a fellow in Ottawa, I can't remember his first name, but he has the same last name as you, but he's been for 20 years has been the maintainer of like the SCSI adapters for scanners. And I always, whenever I see your name, I keep thinking about that, and I'm like, no, it's the different guy. It's a different Harjano or Jono. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but anyway. Okay, so let's get this show on the road here. We don't have Thomas Fossati, and I wish we did. I hope he might join us. Does anyone have a chat with him?
He has a school run. He will join in 20 minutes, he says, approximately.
Okay, well then maybe we should just come back. I'm hoping Ned might join us. Ned, are you coming? Maybe if I say his name loud enough, he'll join.
20 minutes is his RTT, he says, and he is already at the destination.
Okay. Okay, so all right, so let's just start with this. I opened this ticket here about we had a conversation at the very end of last week about whether or not there was anything important that the architecture needed to say about, essentially people were worried about privacy issues in the nonce. And Dave says, I think I agree that belongs in the EAT doc. And Jiri and Thomas have had some comments there. I guess, suggesting that we need to say something else. And I'm wondering if anyone has any specific ideas about this or objects strongly to going this direction. Oh, he removed the word "daunced" against the nonce versus nonced claim. Jerry says he's added this to the rats.
No, he'd added it to the EAT document, and
I'm
I
sorry,
reviewed the request there, and I actually approved it over there, so it may already be merged. So,
so is maybe we even put that in there.
I just don't know. Let's see who originally brought this up. I know you filed the issue, if it was Thomas or whatever. I just don't know if what Gary put in over there actually addresses whoever brought this one up at this point.
I actually didn't get a chance to finish reading Thomas's comments. I guess the real question is there a consensus among this group that in fact this text is good enough and that it needs to be in a solution specific area, a document, not in the architecture?
Who's to blame for this text?
This is
what
Gary's
we are
text on the screen.
It's Gary's text. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think separately, Ned or somebody was saying it should go in the DAA document as well. I don't know if that's solution specific or not, but I'm saying between each and DAA is the. See, by the way, I've raised a related issue in the DAA repo there in the last comment. I mean, it's already in there. I mean, it's already in the notes. But I just don't know what the issue number is.
Yeah. This is not.
Is
this
it already,
not your?
Is it already closed? Zero closed. Okay, it can't be. All right. No.
You said you opened it, or you think it needs
I
to
did
open?
not. I was reading the comment in our issue that you had open, and he says, "By the way, Thomas Vasati? I have raised an issue in the DAA repo. Maybe you put it in the maybe you put it in the one called
no, it's in this freshness thing. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So he's already said that. Okay, so it feels like this could be closed. I mean, I think this is the argument from Thomas is that it sounds like he's asking us to put a some kind of requirement saying, there is an issue of freshness in the nonce. There's a PII issue with the nonce that needs to be resolved in some way by solutions, and that's something like a single sentence that would go into the nonced claim appendix, nonced freshness appendix.
I can't remember what we say in our privacy considerations section right now. Is there something far more general than nonce?
So yeah, I think we say that claims in evidence may be PII sensitive as nonce is a claim. My argument always may actually be this is covered, but maybe you should make special care of this because it could be a protocol part 2, not necessarily a claim thing, but I don't know. So claim-wise, I think we are fine. Maybe not nonce-wise when you look at the general meaning of nonce.
Ned is here.
Can you click on privacy considerations, Michael?
There we go.
I don't know. This seems fine to me.
I agree. I think we've covered it there.
Yeah, but
Enough.
Thomas really was persistent there. So I just wanted to be the devil's advocate here and was like, this was not enough for Thomas Fossati.
I mean, I could see putting some kind of a thing in here about just mentioning that there's a concern about leaking PII via nonces, and that they shouldn't be. I think
for example, so not the involved party. So I think one example was like if the verifier is talking to the attester and doing challenge response with the nonce for the ad hoc recent Fresnish combination, then you could, as you know, the attester could put its, for example, IP address or associated IP address into the nonce.
Yes.
And encrypt it, and
yes,
then
and if you encrypt
send
it, you're
it
good.
out. And so fine. But now the attester thinks it's anonymous and cannot be found out. But down the chain, now this somehow ends up in audit trail and other conceptual messages. Someone of the attacker knows the symmetric key. Everybody thinks this is gold and just random stuff. But in reality, what you do is you expose the typically anonymous identity of, or a part of it, identifiers of the attester by unwittingly so, because you attack via the nonce, the anonymity. I think that was the problem that Thomas wanted to highlight, that you can misuse, if you control the request, the audit trail provided by evidence later on to re-identify the otherwise assumed anonymous attester in DAA, and that would be bad.
Right. I didn't quite follow that. I wonder if you can copy that, what you just said.
I'm going to say it again, and we could copy it into the issue here. So if a verifier includes the IP address of the attester in the nonce used for freshness, even if encrypted, then it will appear. I want to say encrypted. Just it's encrypted. Then it will appear to the attester and possibly some audit process that no PII was leaked. However, if the symmetric key used for generating this nonce is later made available to some, I don't know, Uber observer, that they could then pull the PII out of the PII, specifically the IP address, out of the audit trail. Does that capture what I think you just said, Hank?
Yeah, that would be a specialization of the scenario, yes. But it captures the problem somehow.
I would say
as true as all that is,
sense, but it has nothing to do with the claims, right? Because you're talking about the issues with the challenge, okay? Which is not about the claim, right? So you could do all of this would be true if you put anything in the challenge, okay, and then logged it on the attester or whatever, and then that log became available, and you never put it into any claim whatsoever. All that sentence would be true.
Yes, I agree. It has nothing to do with the claim in many ways. It has to do with the fact that the claim includes a freshness nonce, which has, stuff buried in it, right?
I think Peter was trying to say something too. Go ahead.
Yeah, as true as all that is, it doesn't really belong in this document. It just opens up for comments about why don't you say more. This is really about guidance on how you create nonces if you have privacy concerns, and that's really use case specific.
Plus one.
So I think in general, the privacy section should, I don't know, reiterate that the verifier is the adversary in a privacy scenario, and that the attester must take, the entity that hosts the attester should take all appropriate precautions.
All right, so that's a much more general statement that I have less objection to, instead of talking about the structure of nonces.
Yeah, I was just giving this as an example to convey the meaning of Thomas's caution. Yeah, I also agree with all what Josh just said. So I'm just trying to take up on Thomas's position. Yeah.
And I'm not sure that it's correct to say that the verifier is the adversary. I mean, you're trying to submit enough information to get the verifier to do what you want the verifier to do, which is to give you an attestation report, right? So you got to reveal whatever the policy says. And if the policy says you have to reveal things because it's not using DAA, you have to, reveal your identity so it can check you against an access list or something like that, then you have to do that. It's not the adversary. It's a service that you're trying to subscribe to in that sense. If the verifier itself doesn't attest to you, you might consider an adversary. If you don't consider it trusted, then sure, of course. But I'm not sure that adversary is the right word for a service you're actually trying to use. So
all of the use cases are described in the context that the verifier somehow is doing something nefarious. He's putting PII in a nonce. He's colluding with somebody else on the back end. This is not the behavior of a trusted verifier.
Don't use them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ned. But I could easily see this being, forced on somebody through, national security letter or something like this.
It all comes down to,
if you care about privacy from the verifier, then you use something like DAA, which we already referenced in that text. Although,
if you trust the verifier, then you don't need DAA. You can just encrypt with the verifier's key.
You can
just encrypt.
I'm saying if you trust the verifier to do its job, but you still want to preserve your privacy from a verifier that you trust, that's what DAA is for,
right? I don't think so, but I think that
right, so let's go back. Do we think there's text to add to the architecture on this topic?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Right, then maybe we can go. I did have a comment on the privacy section text, but not on that question. So
I think the DAA document might have something to say, but
yeah, or the interaction.
Right now, we reference. When you get a second, when you're done editing this, Michael, if you can go back to the privacy section of the document, but don't finish what you're doing first.
Yeah, but DAA would deal with this is too specific. It could be in the, and I've been talking, that's why I know the use case. I've been talking with Thomas about this, and it could also go into the reference interaction model. Because the DAA problem is more specific, actually.
Can I hit close on this before I go back, or should I leave it open for now?
I don't want to read DAA could I want to see DAA or reference interaction model there. If nobody is objecting, of course. I would like. Thank you.
I just, yeah, okay. I'm going to hit close. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here. Back to the privacy considerations. Something that was bothering you, Dave.
Can you, right now you're not projecting the actual text, so I'm waiting if you can just switch over there so I can point out.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's really? I'm not? It
We are
says
still
I
the
am.
closed.
We're still looking at issue 399.
Yet now it shows a rendered ID.
All right, if you look at the very last line of the screen, it says this approach is often called direct anonymous attestation. See CCC Deep Dive, section 6.2 for more discussion. I would like to suggest we also add, now that we have a working group document, that we also add, in addition to that one, the RATS DAA document as an informative reference.
I think that's great. Will you send that pull request?
Sure. I just would, if people agree, I'm happy to do that. So.
Yeah, fine.
That's all.
That would be an informative reference so that we don't have a loop of endless normative references.
Correct.
And also it's an ID, so it is an informative reference.
Well, yes, but if it was normative, then we'd have to wait at, auth 48 for the
normative.
This is about EAT. And we still don't have Thomas Fossati. All right, so let's talk about this two types then, okay? Is that the only issue? That's not the right repo.
There was an arrow thingy. I don't know where that ended up to be. Yeah, missing arrow.
So missing arrow. So that's what we're actually talking about. Do you want to talk? I want to give Thomas time to get here and talk about this or abandon it. So let's talk about this device versus system component. Is there something? Well, I hope you've read it, but you can read it again here, where Hank says 25
the summary
days
is at the bottom, of course, and what's liked here is my statement. Yada yada. We could just say it's a synonym for system component.
24 minutes ago. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you assigned to me at a time that I had no time. I was on workshops and panels and weird things. So yeah. So this is actually I eased the text into this, and I did this very early in the architectural overview. So it's line 280 something. It's very early on. And I added very simple statements, simple language. Roles are assigned to entities. Entities are often system components such as devices. And then I spelled it out literally. This is like the meat statement, the core of it. If you don't like that, we have to bash that most, I guess. I might have. Yeah,
I'm just going to.
yeah, sure. Why
not? New line for new.
Yeah, there's another new sentence. I think.
Yeah, I just makes it easier for us to see the diff here, right? If you always do that. Oh well, it still did it, but anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I just hacked away. That was.
I'm happy with this.
I'm happy with 388 and 389. There's grammar issues in 391 and 393.
Oh, I missed something.
Yeah, entities creates, entities uses.
Should say uses? That's what you're saying?
No. There should not be an S. It should just be create.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Create evidence.
Entities create. And similarly in 390.
Sorry.
Same issue.
You're saying this should remain plural and this should be.
You have it correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I just was confused suddenly that.
Yeah. Previously, it was a singular subject that creates applies to, and now that it's a plural one, you got to change the form of the verb. And the same thing in 393 is grammar.
Yeah. So this is actually not mandatory additions, but it is easier now that we paid attention to these three terms: entity, system, component, device. I really wanted to ease the reader into, okay, this is using entity still, and now there are more, and then I'm talking about roles and not all the roles. So I added a statement of there will be a more formal definition of the roles later.
So creates.
Personally, I find these harder to read than the red. So I actually like the red better, but if everybody likes the green, I'm just saying you got to correct it to this. But I would prefer keeping the red on these two lines.
Again, my motivation.
So this should say create. Is that what you're saying?
If you go with the green, like I said, my vote would be to stick with the red.
Yeah. I just want to get the grammar correct before we argue over whether it's good or not. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fine.
Why is it not create?
No, sorry. That should be used. They should be used.
Yeah.
Okay. So it should be singular use. Okay.
You're trying to delete one letter.
Okay.
Yeah, I mixed that up. So yeah, it reads harder. I agree, and it's not a must to have these changes. It just helps later on. I added a
Scroll
few
back a
roles.
little bit.
Yeah. Any comments, Ned?
I'm just trying to do the visual diff. I'm fine with the green text.
This is the final text here. There you go. Okay. All right. Let's continue. And so the word role was added here.
I can live with it. I just think it makes it much harder to read and understand.
I think I disagree just because there's some pedanticism. I agree, but it's important to distinguish the difference between a role and an entity.
I think all through the rest of the document, we just say relying party and not relying party role or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I just made this clear because we have not established roles yet, exactly, in the architectural overview. And that is why I added that an actual formal definition of this is found, more formal, is found in blah, in line 413. I added it there. So now you already know that there are some roles, but this is, by the way, not the complete list, nor the actually real definition. It's just the overview. And to reinforce that, I added that at the end. And to really want to have a complete overview and really want with the definitions, go to terminology.
I think more
device here moves to here. Yeah.
In line 413, more is superfluous.
That is not, yeah, of course, it is adding, you mean a concept?
Depends on whether you think that the terminology is actually formal.
Yeah. I was writing formal definition, like, this is not a formal definition. And then I was like adding a more
your meaning is it's less informal, not that it's formal.
Yes.
Right?
So maybe actually the answer is to delete both words?
Yeah, that or say more complete or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
More complete would be, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, you want more complete?
I like Ned's suggestion, yeah.
More complete?
Yeah, you caught my line of thought. I was writing formal, said no. This is not formal.
Yeah.
Okay, so one possibility is that I commit these grammar changes, and then we could look at it again. If it sounds like some people would like to read it again from top to bottom in context.
Given that this whole thing is about, device versus system component and so on, and there's a thread that I admit I have not read all of, and so I don't know what other people were saying necessarily, so feel free to educate me, but
in the ticket? You mean a thread in the ticket?
That very last line of this change is one that I don't know if I'm comfortable with, and I'm wondering what other people think.
This one here.
No, the last line of the whole thing.
Here.
413.
Oh, yeah. 413. Okay.
No, even before that. 469.
Yeah, that's where I was at. Oh, 469.
Yeah, this is not a necessary change.
This is saying that the attester is a device, as opposed to the attester being a system component in a device or something like that.
Yeah, so I get your point.
I'm uncomfortable with saying the attester is the entire device, where some people say the device is, the hardware enclosure and things.
Okay, I accepted. Yeah, sorry, I didn't see the art. Maybe, yeah, you can reverse that change then.
So you want to reverse this change at 460?
Yeah, I just wanted to early on then use device.
Yes, please.
In a way that it's already there, and so it's okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted to
because
associate
the very
the
first change in this pull request I actually liked, and I think that means it's fine to use the word device, right? Was the whole point of that sentence, right?
Yeah. Okay.
refresh.
All right, so that one went away.
And there's Thomas.
Justin, exactly when we need him, he's here.
Hi.
All right, so would you like me to commit this issue, this pull request now, or does anyone want more time to review it?
As I said in the issue,
It's not yours.
Not yours yet. We waited for you.
Sorry.
We're on Ned's
Thomas
issue.
might want more time to review this issue, but
I'm okay with it.
Grumble,
Okay.
live with it.
okay, all right, let's commit it. I agree with you that it feels a little bit makes it a little bit awkward, but sometimes that's what happens when you have to be more precise. Did that close this issue? Seems to be closed. Okay. All right, Thomas. So I tried to find a place to put your diagram in.
and I thank you very much for the effort.
Okay. My first attempt was at the end of section. Let me pull this up here. Was at my first attempt. Let's go here. There's the original diagram, 3.1. My first attempt was to put it down here under implementation considerations, and to put it at the bottom because I thought this is the evidence of other attesters, and so I tried to put the diagram down here. There were some objections, and so now it goes between 3.1 and 3.2.
So I would say if it went under in the bottom of 3.4, it would make more sense to me. You can see the negative comment that I had on the actual diagram would have actually made sense in that context.
Aha. Okay.
Okay,
So
I think I moved it away from there.
The very last sentence of 3.4, you could argue that Thomas's diagram could be interpreted with respect to the last sentence of 3.4, and that would have answered my question.
Right. That's why I think I got it there
Yeah,
the first time. That's
right.
why I first put it there.
Yeah. So I don't like it any place else, but there I would have no objection to it if people think it's important. So.
Okay.
So how does that sentence refer to that a internal attester gives you evidence to another attester environment? I can't
also
infer
this
that.
inside, yeah.
The inside verifier conveys the attestation results of other attesters.
Yeah, it's not even about evidence.
Sorry, wrong. After collecting the evidence of other attesters. But then you got to have an inside verifier is the point, and that's not in the picture right now, and then it would make sense. Right
yeah, and you have other inside attesters, so I didn't feel that's so.
Well,
this refers to verifiers rather than attesters. Yeah, so that's why it doesn't quite fit there.
Well, it depends on what's meant in the diagram, right? I had a question: is what's meant in the diagram because I can interpret it either of two ways. So,
so there's the diagram.
Yeah,
that's the one box. Other.
Yeah. So my question is the horizontal evidence line, the vertical evidence line, is that 1-to-1 that a testing environment on the left is supposed to just be a pass-through, or are those two different things because the labels are identical, and so is that supposed to be an evidence prime or what? That's what I just couldn't tell which variation was meant in this diagram.
So these are two different evidence. So evidence that goes, the vertical evidence should be a superset, right? That one that, the collection claims from the target environment plus the evidence coming from the other testing environment.
How does that differ from composite
scenario? It's not the same thing, right? That's a composite picture.
Yeah.
And do we already have a picture in the composite section? I thought we did.
The layering has some composition.
Figure 4. Go up to right at the top of your screen, Michael.
Yeah, which is an instantiation of a thing, right? So, whereas this one was a model, and that was the thing that I struggled a bit with. But as I said, it's not. Thank you very much for all the time you put in it, but I don't think that it's worth spending more time on this. And if you want to close it as without action, I'm perfectly fine.
Okay. It looks, if I understand the intent, it is a subset of figure 4, right? A tester B, a testing environment, and verifier is what's in that other diagram. So It sounds like if that's the intent, I think figure 4 does capture it. But okay.
The problem I had originally was that, you know, we had an abstract model in figure, I think 2 or whatever it is, and then which is the original picture. And then when we instantiate in figure 4, suddenly there's an arrow that comes through, and you don't understand what is, you know, why is it coming from, and why is it allowed to go into the other attester? So why are you able to chain to attester that way? Right, and that was my original question, right? So should we extend the model in order to allow, you know, an optional arrow incoming, so that we can chain that unit?
My complaint was that I wanted the reader to get the original model without any optional blah 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 thing. And so they would get it, and then they would look through 3 and go, oh, and then there's this change, and 4 and says, oh, and then there's this variation. And they would see the, you know, in each thing you can see that the original figure 2 as a, you know, is already there, is
yeah, except
embedded.
that as a special meaning for me, because it's the model, right?
Yeah. So
that's the only thing that was, you know, but it doesn't matter really. You know, it's fully it's not creating. It's creating some small confusion in brains like mine. So, but it doesn't.
The thing that maybe is missing is whether or not the lead attester / attesting environment is a proxy, or is it essentially unwrapping and rewrapping the evidence. That's not clear in any of these diagrams.
I think it's an implementation question for that. I think both are possible.
Yeah, it's, I mean, here there's a conveyance protocol between attester B and the verifier, and it has 2 legs.
Right.
And the underlying protocol may or may not be the same, but certainly the encapsulation is a little bit different, right? Because in the top part, in the vertical part, it's encapsulated inside larger evidence. Or perhaps it could be put alongside evidence, right? Depending on how the protocol is. And you could have attester B, C, and A all with parallel sets of evidence inside the same conveyance protocol session to the verifier. Or you could have a nesting relationship that's up to the implementation details of the solution.
I could do both at the same time for different B's and C's.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, and then the whole thing could be layered, and then, you know, whatever, right? So I don't think the goal is to enumerate all the possibilities, but to give people the understanding of what are the building blocks that exist, and give them some terminology for this.
Agree.
So the proposal from Thomas is to abandon this pull request.
Yep.
Are there objections to that?
Talking the few.
Okay, so we're going to close this one. Where's that button? And I don't know if closing that did the right thing with the issues. Let's see. No. Okay, so with that, I think we have effectively no issues open.
Yay.
185 closed.
I'll be pushing my pull request we talked about in seconds here.
Oh, okay, awesome. So then we could post a new version. And
I will at the very
really
end
done?
fix make. Yeah, we are.
Well, you're going to fix make? What are you going to do to make?
I don't know. I guess to put in some lint, I will clean it up.
All right, pull request.
Are you going to post the new version then, Hank?
Yeah, I can also do that.
Okay.
Go ahead and refresh.
Do you know that there's a new tool which is called AASVG that creates from the ASCII representation of diagram a nice SVG? It goes into
it's called GOAT.
Yeah, GOAT. And if you use the ASCII right, so you have to do the nice boxes and all. Yeah, I am aware.
Yeah,
it's very beautiful. If you want to experiment with making our diagrams compliant, I'm very happy. I just
it is just fancy editorial. So we will submit a new version based on our thing here, and then we can have all the time to do SVG.
Any objections to this?
Absolutely. No, I just wanted to say whether you're interested. So I've done some of this and I've posted it on the chat.
Cool. I would say just it's an editorial. Just send the pictures and
absolutely. But just for you to check how the rendering happens.
Okay, so we're going to commit any objections to this thing. I think we already agreed it's going to happen.
You need to refresh just because the edits that you did on the previous one that we just merged had a trailing white space, which makes it fail to build, and so I had to delete it.
You removed that. Okay, good. Yeah, that was the lint I was because I think
there
was a line break introduced by someone.
It was in the commits that we were just live editing. So
I noticed that's why there was that dip. Okay. Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? Okay, so
merge it without that because it had this big red X by it. So, what's the resolve conflicts? I didn't rebase it, so maybe there's some line.
Amazing. I would have thought AutoDiff can find a line space, but okay, fine.
All right, I guess leave the blank line in there. You need to resolve that by deleting the other parts.
Okay, all right, so let's end this meeting. Hank, please, you're going to, whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to fix something in the make file and post the new rev.
No, it's done. Dave did it in one swoop, so I don't have to do it.
All right, so I will post the new version.
You can also do that. Then I don't have to do it.
All right, I will do that in a few minutes. And we will announce the fact that we are done and that everyone can go home.
And no meeting next week.
Yeah, no meeting next week. Okay, great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for your patience. Bye-bye.
Cool.
Bye-bye.